Hello, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. UFOB Experiencer series here. I have Adam with me. Adam, how you doing?
Great. Yeah,
Yes,
great to be here as always.
excellent. We are here and back again with Andrew Radziewicz. Last time we spoke about from again his youth to adulthood. How when he was young he enjoyed unsolved mysteries and the paranormal. Later on, he got into the U.S. Coast Guard, saw something out there in the ocean. Later after that, his grandmother passed, and they had both agreed to have um, a sign that she was still alive. And he was contacted or met a man in a restaurant who had said he later on said that he had the gift of mediumship, and he eventually left being a firefighter in New York to go meet Mary Rodwell in Australia. And when he did that, he also met his wife, and they had a child. And we went on to talk about that they likely had hybrid children on a craft somewhere out there. And we went over telepathy, his marriage, him getting a job at a funeral home, and a few other things. But you know what? Let's let him talk about it, and I'll stop talking. So here we go. Hey, how you doing there, Andrew?
Oh, thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be back.
Oh, we're happy to have you back. And yeah, the last things, a few things we were talking about last time was we kind of went over just your co-employees were also psychic, and Timmy was one of the ghosts, I guess, that were running around the morgue, and we were talking about different energies and going off on all kinds of stuff. But yeah, let's kind of start again from, unless you have somewhere else to go, just start again from working at the morgue. And shortly after, you had talked about two firefighters had passed away, and yeah, go from there.
All right, cool. So I'm working in a funeral home. I'm meeting other people from other funeral homes. I'm meeting priests. I'm meeting all sorts of people that are having paranormal experience. Now, at this time, I'm not telling exactly everyone about what's going on and what I've experienced in my life. But as I get to meet people, as the months go on, I start to open up. I'm sharing with people some stories. Then, I become friends with people on social media. They're seeing things on social media. They had seen, there was an article written about me in the New York Post. And then, people kind of attract you once they find these things out. So some people, just like when I work in the firehouse, to work in a funeral home, on the surface, they may not reveal that they're into this stuff, but they'll come grab you on the side and, oh, I've seen something. Oh, I've seen something in a funeral home. Oh, I've seen something in the sky. And for me, my whole life has just been about piecing this all together. I used to look at it like all separate things. There's just UFOs. Oh, there's just possibly spirits. There's just possibly souls in the afterlife that are around. To me, they're all coming through together. So, meaning if I'm sitting and I'm meditating or I'm doing a CE5 and I call out to a spirit, I call out to a relative that has passed on, and I'll say, show me yourself. Give me a sign that you're here. Boom, I'm getting lights in the sky that are appearing. And how do I know these are real? How do I know the footage that I'm getting is genuine? Well, about a year and a half ago, I started posting on social media, an app called TikTok, sharing stuff around, and then a TV show contacted me. A guy from MUFON contacted me. There's a TV show called Close Encounters Down Under, which is on Apple TV, A&E, Blaze TV. It's all over the world. They took footage from all over Australia and New Zealand, and they analyzed it. They had MUFON analyze this professionally by Dr. Radziewicz. So he took footage that I had filmed here and footage from America. And the next day, literally, I sent them some footage that I had that they saw on TikTok. And he said, "How did you do this? This is the real thing. We want to put this in show. Would you mind?" And that was about, a 9-month process. And then after that 9-month process, they put the footage out there. So that's just another layer of validation for people that are listening or watching, saying, how do you know your footage is real? How do you know this is credible? How do you know this is happening? Well, I've sent it out to people in the science field, Dr. Gary Bowen. I've sent it out to people that, the national director of MUFON here in Australia. And this whole time going along, I always felt from day one, when I saw a craft or I saw something was around, I would get a feeling when that object was near. I would get a feeling when I would see the object. And then it would get to the point where before I even saw the physical object, I knew, whoa, something's coming. It's soon. I could feel it. I would get very tingly inside my body, almost like the hair was standing up in the back of my neck, going down my legs, the tips of my toes, the tips of my fingertips. A very, very different type of feeling where, if someone just gets excited, it just temporarily comes, it goes. You might get a good thought, but I could be going about my day, or I could be at my house in the evening, and I'll get that feeling. And when I start to get that tingly feeling, I said, "Oh, we got to go outside. There's something there." I go outside, and boom, these objects start appearing. And then over and over and over, sometimes I'll see an object in the sky, and I'll say to somebody, "Do you see that?" And someone will go, "No, I don't see that. What are you talking about? There's nothing there." Well, they make great night vision cameras. You can get a psionics infrared camera, shine it at the sky. And for years, I was literally seeing objects, pointing to them. There's something there. People would say, "I don't see that." We'd look through an infrared camera, and there would be an object on the infrared camera, either stationary or moving. And I'm like, I could see that though. Whereas some people with me in a group, they don't see anything. So I hear that from people all over the world. They're pointing and looking at things in the sky, and not everyone sees it. That does happen. That is a common thing. When I first started doing this, I was looking in the sky, and I'm like, I don't see everything, or I don't see what people are seeing. How is the guy next to me seeing, a triangle shaped craft? I don't see anything. Now I get it. Now I understand. 14 years later, 20 years later, yes, you will see things as you keep doing this, as you keep meditating, as you keep evolving, as you keep opening up, you will have more revealed to you. That's how I put it. So I would see things literally with my own eyes in the sky while doing these meditations, C5, and then even professionally at work. This is carrying over into work, working in a funeral home. And I would even see things from being a firefighter in Brooklyn, New York, to here in Melbourne, Australia. And this hasn't stopped. Just having that experience, doing this in a funeral home, COVID-19 comes. So now, yes, I'm having daily contact. If I'm going into the funeral home and I'm working, I have the ability to turn this on and off. So I don't go in and it's not just a nonstop flow of, entities and spirits and souls and the dead communicating with me. I wouldn't be able to work. I wouldn't be able to function. So when I hear psychics out there, I hear people like this and, "Oh, it's all the time. It's 24/7. Spirit wakes me up in the middle of the night to do this, and this." To me, that's just not my experience with this. That would be overwhelming. So kind of like an iPhone, you use your iPhone during the day. Then at the end of the day, you got to charge it up overnight. So it's the same thing with this. I'm utilizing it as I want during the day. I turn my phone on and off as I need it. But then you got to take breaks. You don't want to be on your phone all the day. And then at night, you plug that thing in and that's it. It's over. So I don't want to have any souls or anything like that coming to me unless the only way that that would happen is if it was something imminent. So say something was health related. Say I was around a relative with somebody and there was something wrong with them. They had a health issue, which just has happened over the years. I'll be around someone and I'll see something circled. That's the method how I communicate. So everyone has a different sort of communication. People that communicate with the afterlife, people that are communicating with spirits. There's a certain method of communication. For me, it's letters, it's signs, it's shapes. So if somebody has, for example, something wrong in their chest, say they have cancer in that chest area. I've seen that before. I'll see literally a red circle. I'll be sitting with someone like you or a relative, and I'll see a red circle around the chest. And I'll say to somebody, do you have something wrong with that area of your body? You notice something? Oh no, there's nothing wrong. Oh yeah, I haven't been breathing right. Something's off. Well, go to the doctor and get that looked at. Let's see what that is. Make sure it's nothing. I don't want anything to be wrong, but let's get it checked out because doing this for years, what I've seen that things have happened where people were just unaware at the time. And early prevention with this stuff, I feel that this communication system, whatever it's going on with people on the other side, when they see people and they're going through something, if they're trying to communicate with us and we listen to them, well, then we could do something about it. If we just blow it off and say there's nothing to this and we can't possibly, prevent something. And I think this can be very, very, very key when preventing things.
Yeah, it seems like you're getting the information for a reason. Why not use it as a helper to something for helping other people? I'd like to go back to when you said you can turn it on and off. Is there how do you turn it on and off? It just seems like you can't turn something like that on and off, but how do you turn it on off? Because I remember John Edward, the medium from the East Coast, saying the same thing. He would have a thing where he would turn it off, but like you said, it sometimes, the other side wants to come through, so they do their thing.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, it's like when you first realize you can do this, for me, it's like anything else. Like, wow, I can do this. This is cool. This is different. So you want to tell everyone, like, wow, I can do this. Oh my God, can I show you? Like, and not everyone cares. Some people are like, no, like, I don't want anything to do with that, man. That's weird, bro. Leave it alone. So, you learn etiquette. Like, okay, I do this when people want it. People come, they track me down. I'm not a dog, so I don't work on command. If somebody comes up and says, hey, read me right now, I've had that happen. Fuck you up. Like, no, no, we'll do this in a correct time and place. So that's it. First of all, like anything, you're an electrician. You don't just work on the spot, but you work when you get an appointment. So I do that when it's appropriate, when the person wants me to, in the right space. Because also, I've had people too say to me, "Oh, read me or do this right now," and I'm like, "Well, you're gonna be honest with everyone that's listening all over the world right now, right? Of course, yeah, yeah, of course." Then they go to a commercial break, and in the commercial break, I tell them something. For example, like, "Oh, so when we come back from commercial, you're ready to share that when you were 19, you took your girlfriend and you had to go terminate a pregnancy." And they're like, "Oh, don't no, I don't want to share that." I said, "Well, you got to be willing to share everything. If you're gonna have me come on your show and be honest, you got to be honest too, bro. Don't edit that out because that's important. And don't lie because then everyone thinks this guy's a fraud." So I know me, John Edward, other people out there have heard the same thing. I've had it happen at a room full of people. I'm reading or I'm trying to connect, telling someone something, and they're like, no, 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 no. I'm like, okay, I just stick with it. No, I don't know what you're talking about. And then after the reading, they come up to me on the side and they're like, hey, I'm here with a girl and this is our first date. And I didn't want her to know that, my cousin took his life. And I'm like, what? Why are you here, bro? Because everyone else thinks that this guy, me, I'm a scam artist like Sylvia Brown or whoever. And I'm telling you, I'm not, you think what you want, but the proof is in the pudding, right? You only know from interacting with somebody. So if someone comes to one medium and they see that and they go, that guy was off, man. Oh my God. That guy, he couldn't even connect with him. He told him, no, you're off, man. So yeah, you got to be so careful. People love to pick out, the one thing that they say, oh, see, he's off that night. He's a fraud. They don't realize that the person sitting with them, they might be the fraud and they just don't want to open up. So, yes, you have to, of course, you take that chance whenever you're reading someone openly or publicly. You're hoping that they're being honest. They might be lying. Okay. And then with literally turning that on and off, I train myself through meditation. When number one, when to do that appropriately. That's the most important thing with turning this on and off. And then as far as receiving, I think this is just me personally. I think that when you hear mediums out there saying, "Oh, I'm getting messages all the time from source, it's nonstop," that's a load of shit. That's nonsense. They're just saying that to make people think that they have this special connection. It doesn't work like that. When you learn, that's why, at least for me, it was so important to train with someone. Like I trained with a medium that had 20 years of experience. So I'm like, so how do you turn this on and off? He said, well, you go do your job, you do what you got to do, and then after work or on the weekend when you're doing it, you do this. Same thing if you're doing this professionally. You come, you do your job, but when the work day ends, it's over. Now, just like if you never did this, okay, or you decided to do this professionally, if you get a feeling, you get intuition, you get some sort of weird feeling in you, something is off, something doesn't feel right. Yeah, listen to that. It just happens to be myself or somebody that's developed this will know when that sign, when that feeling's coming. Okay, I got to listen to this. Now, that doesn't happen all day, but when that thing is coming, whoa, something is imminent. It's like imminent danger or imminent. For me, it's just, I know when I get that feeling, it's an imminent health thing. That's it. It's not gonna bother me for like, hey, they're coming and they're having a fight with their boyfriend or they're not happy. And no, 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 that's nonsense. If a medium sits and they're just constantly telling people things, or they have these reality shows, or they go to a food store and they go up to a guy behind the counter and go, "Your grandfather just died." That's nonsense. That's fake. Number one, you can't do that to people. That's unethical. And if you did do that to somebody, you got to be extremely careful because if you say that to someone, if they're not ready to hear that, for example, hey, your grandfather's here, he has a message for you, he's sorry, blah, 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 blah. The guy behind the counter might have hated his grandfather. His grandfather might have treated him horribly. And now when you leave, what if that guy behind the counter goes home and hurts himself because he's not ready to hear that because the guy you just reconnected him with? was the guy that abused him as a child. So when I see that on TV, I go, nah, man, they got to have the NDA signed or something. You can't do that to people. That's unethical. And if in New York, especially, to walk up to somebody and say something, where I lived in Brighton Beach, Brooklyn, if I walked up to somebody and just said that, they might stab me, shoot me. You can't do that. So that's just like Hollywood. Most people that do this serious, that would train, you learn when you trained, okay, we do this when it's appropriate, when it's asked of us. We don't hunt people down. They have to come find us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, like it's more of like, yeah, when and you'll continue to hear people saying, I'm getting bombarded, or this is overwhelming. If that was the case, you'd probably be in a psych ward, because I've never heard, like, that's like schizophrenia almost, where it's just nonstop. Maybe someone like that needs to be on medication to balance that out, or you need to be around somebody that's been through that can help navigate that. But I've never experienced that. The medium that trained me, no. It's just like, this comes. Once you realize this is here, then you better find somebody, if you want to, do this the right way, and say, okay, how did he do it? Meditation usually helps you filter out all that other nonsense. So like Robert Hansen, he got into Japanese Zen Buddhist meditation. That's just him. I looked into that too. I did a lot of different meditations. So when I learned and I started developing this, I learned, Buddhist meditation, Japanese Zen, all that stuff. Any sort of meditation, though, helps to filter out all that other nonsense, and to help this person. And then after that, whoop, it's like I said, you turn the iPhone off. After that's it, leave it alone.
Yeah. So then, going back to working at the morgue,
And I just want to share.
Yeah.
No, keep going. I was going to keep sharing about the more. What was that?
Yeah, no, that was it. I was gonna say, and going back to the morgue, you're still at the morgue, correct?
No. So right now, I'm just. So I'll get into that. So I was working in the mortuary, doing that, working all over the place. Then COVID came,
Oh, yeah.
and I was there working in the mortuary still through COVID. That was out of control. Just, oh my god, just oh my god, the things that everyone went through, that was very intense. And then I got a massive, massive influx from people all over the world for readings. Like, hey, like, it was on another level. So I'm like, all right, it's time. Like, I'm gonna do this full time now. So for my goal from years ago was always somehow, all right, I'd like to share this. I always promised my grandmother I'd share this. I didn't know exactly how, but then I figured through social media, so to really share this. And then since then, I wrote a book. The book's not out yet. And then I started just doing readings all the time, because in order to, I said, well, if I do this all the time, of course, what I'm delivering, and what I'm sharing for people is going to be that much better, right? If I'm doing this all the time. So I'm full time now, just doing psychic reading, mediumship, and working on a bunch of projects at the moment in regards to this TV, book, all things like that.
Okay. What more did you learn at the morgue? Because I kind of still want to go on a timeline, like from the morgue, and
Yeah,
how you
sure.
moved through that.
Yeah, so it taught me a lot about how to deal with people, like everywhere, no matter where you're coming from or what you've been through. Being a firefighter, right? You're trying to save. So, like, oh my God, I got to save this person. They might make it. And when they don't make it, that's a tough thing. You go to 911 call, you're trying to revive somebody. You can't. That sucks. Nothing worse in the world than trying to save anyone, whether it's a little kid or an adult. It doesn't matter. When you don't get it done, but when you do, oh my God, that's amazing. It feels great. Wow, this person's alive now. They almost overdosed, or they were just old and they had a heart attack, but we saved them. Just a great feeling. When somebody is deceased already, they're deceased. But I have to say, being around people and having people come up to you after a funeral and saying, "Wow, my mother, she suffered. She had cancer. She was not well. She went through a lot. She, was real skinny. But I don't know what you did, but you made her look 20 years younger. When she was laid out in a casket, and we looked at her at the viewing, whatever you did to her, you made her look 20 years younger. How did you do that?" And I don't have a beauty background. I did not go to school for hair, nails, or any of that. I'm not, most women I've met in the funeral industry do that. I just did it. So starting to do that, that was a feeling I can't even describe. Getting someone where they need to go. Like, you can't save them, but yet the family is going to have that memory forever. Yeah, they might remember how they transitioned and they had a horrible death, but they'll always remember the funeral. So doing that was once again, that was a calling to be around people from all different backgrounds, from all over the world, to learn the different nationalities, the different rituals, the different ways that people transition. But the deceased, okay, the souls, it's interesting. They all had a similar message. It was never about religion. I never ever, still to this day, never ever once, not even once, has one soul said to me or communicated that I'm with Jesus or I'm with God or I'm with Buddha. Not at all. Not at all. So like that's very interesting. Like I pay attention to that. Like, wow, they're not expressing anything religious. They might remind a family member, like, oh, do you remember the cross that was in my bedroom above my bed? Okay, that's just something they connected with. But they're not saying that they're with Jesus or something like that in the afterlife, at least not to me. They all say a similar thing. I'm right here. I'm right around. You just have to have the eye or the ears to see and hear me. I don't look like this. I'm different,
Yeah.
but they're not expressing what we are taught here on Earth. So it's very interesting. And I don't think I would have gotten that experience unless I working in a funeral home and having that sort of dynamic.
Yeah, that's fascinating because
It's very, very interesting.
yeah, and to me, what I learned when I used to watch John Edward all the time after my mom passed, but um, a similar thing that you're saying is that these people who have passed, they don't talk about the religion, but they always say they're right here. And what John Edward would always say was, well, part of it is acknowledging them. Once you acknowledge them, it also raises their vibration, and it's also about, like you said, being present and just allowing some sign that they give to be that sign, not brush it off, acknowledge them. And I think that's and it also brings us kind of to that, when they say I'm here, it just makes you think of just they're now in a light body in a different dimension that's parallel to ours. And I don't know, it's just makes you wonder. It just makes you wish you could just stop and ask them, okay, so what's going on over there? How does this non-dying consciousness that is infinite and forever work? But yeah, it's interesting to hear that from your perspective as well.
Yeah, it's, every mediums out there have their different interpretation. A lot of them will say, "Oh, they're fine. They're in a good place. Everything's fine." And I disagree. Like I don't. I could say I don't know. I'm not there, but I know when people have like taken their lives or certain things have happened, the energy expressed is different. So like the way you are here, right? Your energy, how your personality is. It usually is the same coming back through. It should be, oh, that's my dad. I know what he was like. Well, my uncle, yeah, that's how they were. So, when somebody's not in a good space and they transition, they're not going to be coming back saying everything's great, everything is rosy, like because that wasn't them. Like that wouldn't make, that wouldn't sound right, unless that was their personality and they just decided to take their life. I don't think it's that common. From what I've experienced, people, they look back and go, oh, there were signs there. They were upset, they were depressed, they were going through things. So, based on however their energy was here, that's how they should be expressing. Is people will go, oh my God, oh, that's definitely my cousin, that's my uncle, 100%. So, it's like that as above, so below saying, yeah, I kind of think like the way it is here is kinda like the way it is there. There's a great movie called Jacob's Ladder, and when I saw that, especially I watched it again recently, I go, "Wow, what if that's all that's going on right now?" Like, right now, we don't really know. Do we really know? How do we know for sure? But as above, so below. What if all of us are living out that other thing we wanted to do? Like, what if we're like Jacob's Ladder? Right now, we're in the afterlife, and we're doing that different thing that we didn't do in our other life, but we don't know the difference because we're in the afterlife already. There's some really interesting things, and I've heard some very interesting theories out there that movies like that, I love watching movies like that that just make you think, wow, is it really like it is here as it is in heaven, as it is on earth? Like these sayings, maybe it is all just the same thing. You just go to a different place, but it's kind of similar, but different, right? I don't know. I'm not there yet, but they're expressing something similar. Love, right? That love. No matter what they went through, good, bad, and different, most of the time, the same thing is either I love you or the very cute, once in a while, a soul will come through that the person doesn't like. So I'm sitting with somebody and they're like, I don't like that person. That they were very mean to me. They were awful to me. I hope they rot in hell. I've heard it. I've heard it reading someone, and I've also heard it arranging a funeral with a family where I'm like, oh, so what we'd like to do, and one person will go, oh, I'd like to do a nice service, and then somebody will go, him, I'm so glad he's dead. He was a piece of. I'm like, didn't like any coffee, like, or what do you say, right? So you see it all, like it's, you got to keep your face on and be professional, but people express themselves, and then when they transition, it's the same thing. So not all readings are just great at connecting people. Sometimes, for whatever reason, that relative might trying to making amends on the other side, like, "Oh, I'm sorry I did that to you." But the person here, maybe they're not ready to the amends. So, you get it. I see it. I've seen it in real time in a funeral home, which I think really, really helped me for doing this full time. Like 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I don't know if I would have been ready to do mediumship full time and do readings all the time. For me personally, I think my life experience, the different things that I did, working in the areas I did, prep me to be doing it now at 43 years old. At 23, I don't couldn't able to handle it. 23, no way. 33, no. But now that I've seen what I've seen in life, and I tell people, I don't know what it's like to be dead, but I have prepared dead people, and I have dealt with a ton of families going through this process. So I have an idea, but I don't know. I don't know. And then I have the bits that they tell me. So that's a unique thing as far as being. That's a unique combination. So I just try to relay it and show people, and people will say to me, like, "Wow, I've never heard about it, like, from that perspective. Like, I've never met a psychic that literally was, working as an embalmer. That's wild. Like, that didn't freak me out." And I go, like everything, it was kind of like a calling. Like, whatever I did in life, I was just very blessed that I felt pulled. I didn't feel like I have to do this. Like, no, I wanted to do this, just like being a medium. I want to do this. Like, I love it. I'm not ashamed to tell anyone. I don't like not tell people like I did years ago. I didn't want them to know. Like, no, it's what did I do? I go to drop my 4-year-old daughter off at school. Parent asks me, what do you do? I'm a medium. And like, it's interesting because now they're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I don't know anyone that does that. Tell me about that. So, like timing and whatever else, but it just is what it is. Like, I guess it's just meant to be now. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think we are slowly transitioning, very, very slowly transitioning. But I think there is that transition as as the hippies used to say in the '60s, age of Aquarius is upon us, and the reason why we're having so much turmoil is because it's that male fighting the female energy that's coming into play, and it's going to take a long time. It's not going to be instant, and apparently there's a problem with that. But I did want to get back to when you were saying, we don't, as mediums, you all don't know exactly what it is like on the other side. You can only, as you say, as above, so below. I was going to ask, have you ever read any Robert Monroe stuff? I've only read his one Journeys book, but I've read excerpts from many of his other two books. And it's very interesting how he talks about the levels of vibration when he would go out of body. And that's another question, is if you've ever tried, or if you have gone out of body or done astral projection.
Yeah, yes, to all the things you just and that's so in 2014/15, I met with the Monroe there was a Monroe Institute group in New York City. The lady lived right near Times Square. So I actually went there in person after reading up on the, Monroe and then looking online, watching the videos. I'm like, "I gotta meet people that are actually doing this, like, see what this is about." So, in person in this lady's apartment, it was amazing. She had a beautiful apartment right near Times Square. We'd all get together, whether it was 5 of us, 10 of us, for about, like I said, a year and a half, 2 years, and we would out of body travel, we'd project, anything and everything in between, and it was great. It was raw. Like, once again, like, everyone attaches, like, once someone is doing something for money, there must be some sort of scam involved. Like, it's unbelievable. For so long, there was nothing and there's no money, nothing. Like, I went to this lady's house. There's no cost. You just go, and of course you bring something. You don't show up empty-handed. You get some people that are so freaking cheap that won't bring anything just because, like, oh, it's free. Bring something. It's a community. You give. So you go, you just bring something, but then it was about the experience. This lady, money was not an issue. It wasn't about tech, but it was about the experience together. And yeah, we saw different levels, different colors of what we call non-corporeal entities, they call them. Whatever you want to say that is. There were different types of beings in and out of the room that I saw during these experiences, some with my eyes open, some with my eyes closed. So as I would keep doing this weeks and weeks and then training during the week. And this is in the midst, right? I'm doing this other stuff. So training as a medium, still working in the firehouse. I throw the Monroe Institute group there. I'm still doing C5. So, whoa, all of this stuff, it was like Pandora's box open. I am totally on board with Monroe and what they're about. I found a group here in Australia. I haven't got together with them. But what they're doing, yeah, if you want to get into this and be serious, if you're listening to this, I'd find a local chapter. Most of them get together for nothing. You can go on a retreat and spend $2,000, but everyone will tell you that you're crazy and you're a fraud. Do whatever you think is right. But if you don't want to spend money, go find a local group. You can do plenty of this organically and very, very cheap. Just to check it out with the internet to check all that out. But oh yeah, they're on the money, man. They know what they're doing. And I met a lot of ex-military guys like myself too. Although that work evolved with, Stargate and these other programs that they had where they were doing the protocols of Monroe, absolutely, they claimed in the military. I wasn't doing them in the military, but absolutely they're following the same exact protocols to remote view and everything.
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff, and the Monroe Institute's history is often, well, I shouldn't say it's often overlooked because anyone that knows the Monroe Institute knows that they were working with our military or CIA, and both, military, CIA, both. But, yeah, that's fascinating. But that's very interesting that you did, you have done that, and because what I was thinking of was when Monroe, talked about when he'd go out there at different levels, there was, like, the level where the religious would go, and they would just do their thing, and then there was another level when the non-religious would go, and he said it's just different levels of being passed away or being in that other side, and then he did talk about the light being the reincarnation cycle, and not needing to go there until you felt it was time, and just it's
Yeah.
it's fascinating stuff, just fascinating.
It is absolutely amazing. And you bring up that you just said it, that word that no one likes to talk about, the white light. Oh my God, me too. As soon as I say that, I have friends I love dearly, but they hear that and like, oh, I'm running right in. My family's there. And I said, well, what if you just wait? Right? What if you just wait? What's the worst that can happen? You have free will. If I'm not getting pulled in and I have a choice,
Yeah.
I don't know, me personally, what I've heard, I'm waiting. You do whatever you gotta do, but I don't wanna
I
pick up in another
Okay,
emergency room back here again.
okay, so what I'll say about that is it's very interesting. We did an interview with David Parker, and he didn't do the Monroe gateway thing. He went with the Silva back in the day, Silva mind control method, but now it's called the Silva method, I think. Or but
Yep.
he said it was different in that I think the Silva method was more about the vibration, and Monroe was I can't remember the
More about, I remember him mentioning it's more about the sound
sound.
specifically.
Yeah. Yeah, and I thought that was really interesting, and he said the same thing. He said, "The light is a trap." And we've heard people say that, and I don't wanna, piss any
Yeah, of course.
yeah,
I get it. Yep.
yeah, but he said the same thing, the light's like a trap, but unfortunately, I guess when we hear so many stories with NDEs or near-death experiences, it's all about, "Oh, this bright light was around me, and it was warm, and it had love," and but sometimes, they also talk about seeing the light and going through it and seeing friends, so we've gotten this idea that it's the place to go, but I'm just Caspian, who isn't here today. Caspian, he and his mom were pulled out of their bodies for about a year or so, and Caspian and his mom experienced going through this tunnel. He said it was gigantic. Like it could fit a city through it, but he said he remembers rushing through, seeing people going back and forth, some naked, some clothed. But he says he never remembers what happened after the light, but his mom said that they were in some town or something to that effect. But the bottom line was Caspian says, I'm not going through that light when there's no way. I've been through it plenty of times. I am not doing that. And and again, David Parker said the same thing. He's like, I'm not going to the light. There's no way you're gonna get me into that light until I know. And I travel around the universe and do whatever I have to do, but I am not going to that light. It's a very, very,
Yeah.
very, very interesting. I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean, right, if that happened and I'm there and I hear my grandmother's voice or mother or whoever at that point say, "Andrew, come here," that'd be hard to not go to. I mean, I get it, right? Like, oh my God, that's really hard. Like, I know that distinct voice or spouse or whoever at that point, right? How do you, or a child, or right? How do you not go to that? But I just, once again, I've done all this training for me. I've done all this training here on planet Earth to go and just give that back. Like, whoa, oh my God. Like, so for me, now I'm going to just wait it out, man. That's all good. Let me know what happens, but I don't want to wake up in an ER, like, in some other country and, oh my God, here I am again. Not even know. And then I got to do this thing all over again. No, little, some people I met have said, oh, I'll come back here. I don't care. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I feel like I don't know, from all the stuff I'm sure we've all read plenty of things like we're all supposed to, find our way to ascend, and that's the whole point of this being here, is it's the learning school. And it's like, well, I feel like once I have learned that what things are about, maybe I don't need to go into the light. Maybe I can find a guy to tell me what's really going on. It's a
Right.
crazy, it's funny. Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying something.
Yeah, no, I absolutely, no, no, that I totally agree too. Yeah.
Well, how about if I
I'm just
derail
this
this?
up, like, let it know what happens. Hopefully not. I'm gonna,
Yeah, yeah, and I was gonna even derail it a
yeah,
little bit because you said, if you heard your grandmother's voice coming from the light, of course you'd wanna go to it. Well, there's also stories of other people saying that the light thing was taken over by a malevolent species that is creating this, and that's the Monroe Loosh theory, where they're creating a reincarnation cycle because they're both
yes.
using both are negative emotions along with the positive emotions. Loosh is just either way, they're feeding on the emotions. But have you ever experienced anything like that, or had any reason to believe that there's a possibility that when people are passed away, like you were just saying, if I hear my grandmother, that isn't your grandmother, it's a screen because someone wants you to go in there so you can come back and just get stuck in this cycle, that people speak of. Do you have any ideas about that or thoughts?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a friend, a bunch of friends, but I have one particular, the Gnostic Christian. We've talked about that, and just from what I've read and heard too, and people that hearing that, and that, it's interesting to think like, well, could something be in charge of doing that and trapping us and keeping us here like a Matrix style thing? But the evidence is leading for me personally to, yeah, that is what's going on. So you know what?
Yeah,
Good luck. Let me know how that works out. I'm not going.
yeah,
That nope, I don't need to explore that anymore. I've oh my God, I think I've had enough eye-opening moments and then enough from reading Monroe Institute. Oh my God, they're yeah, I've done all this work here. I just hope, once again, I hope at that moment when, like I said, when you're dead, you're dead. I don't know what that feels like. I know
yeah,
when you die, your physical body, you have all
yeah,
sorts of rushes of endorphins and chemicals that flow through your body, and you get an extreme rush. So a lot of, not all, but some of these experiences, NDEs, OBs, things like that, when people are going to die or about to die, you do have an overload of DMT and all sorts of things. So, what is really happening to what not? When I'm dead, I'll know. And I don't mean dead and come back. I mean, don't come back. That's the only way to truly know, right? Who knows?
right. I feel that I don't know, it's fun. It's funny to go into this because there's tons of people out there, but anyone can think what they want. It's just you have to just do your own research and come up with your own opinions because it's I don't know. It's like I remember someone said that they had heard that John Mack had been someone either channeled him or a medium or whatever, but his only thing that he apparently said, John Mack said, was, "It's not what we think it is."
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think he said that when he was living. I think he said that when he was living too.
Oh, yeah?
I
Oh,
feel like that's something he would say, yeah, after really.
yeah, possible. I could swear that it was in the context of someone saying that's what he said to a medium or something. But either way, there's that, and yeah, like you said, it's everybody's own, whatever they want to believe and what they've researched, and yeah, it's just these are puzzle pieces. The whole, and that's the thing. We know now. We know. I think we are darn sure that these extraterrestrials, there's more than one type of race, there's a whole bunch of them. They obviously can phase in and phase out of our reality. They can also mess with us in our dreams. I was going to ask you about that, if you've ever had any dream messages as well. But we know that after there's contact or abduction, that there is ongoing contact through dreams, and they have the power to mess with us in all ways. They can knock us out. They can wipe our memories. They can go into our dreams. So they have power of consciousness, whether it's tech or with their own minds, we don't know. But that's what kind of also leads to the light thing is well, people just start dying. They come up and they can just screen whatever they want and just say, I'm your relative. Let's go to the light. Have a nice day. But have you do you believe you've had any dream contact in any way as well?
Yeah, I mean, for me, most of the dreams that are real or significant, if I get a message and then I wake up right after, to me, that's when it's something relevant, just for me personally. And so if I'm dreaming or go through the night, but I have that moment and boom, I wake up and I'm like, well, I just remember what happened. Yes, yes, I've had some interesting experiences where either premonition about something that's about to happen, an outcome, my choice to make, things like that that have happened. With as far as extraterrestrial, yeah, I mean, I've had some very, very interesting dreams, but to me, I think that they possibly might be other possible realities, other possible outcomes. Like if stayed in New York as a firefighter, I'll have dreams all the time. Like, wait, I'm not doing that anymore. Like I'm here, you know what I mean? But I'm like, I'm Nether in the dreams. I'm like, wow, that's wild. Like, whoa. So I do have dreams like that. I definitely think there's something to that, kind of like the Matrix where all the screens are up and all those possible outcomes. Yeah. I just hope I'm not the only guy playing the video game. I've heard theories there. It's only you, and
Right.
everything else around you is just an expression, but you're the only thing that's real. Everything else around you is not. I hope it's not the case. I hope everything around me and the people I met are somewhat real. Not everyone, but mostly everyone. Because oh my god, that's an intense thing. But yeah, I think there's a lot to take from that, a lot to learn, and there's definitely something to that. I think that dream state or whatever what's going on there in those dreams, I think that state might be where we come from. And right now, this is the dream. And that is actually where we really are from and the way we're going with. This is that temporary thing and it's not forever, but it seems like it. And then we go back and go, oh my God, that was some dream. That's what I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I actually, well, no, I agree with you because just recently, I think I don't know remember if I wrote it in our Discord or on a Reddit or whatever, but someone talked about the simulation theory, and I said this is my idea of what it is. Where we are right now, this reality is the illusion, and then when we pass, that's reality. That's the true nature of the universe. And this is where we come to learn, experience, and raise our consciousness. So when we go back over there, we're at a higher vibration because they say, and these beings say, that that's what this place is for. This place is to raise your vibration so you can get higher, and eventually meet infinite intelligence, whatever it is. But that's kind of how I feel it. This is the illusion, and passing is the reality, or not passing, but that realm is reality. So that's kind of what I've been getting from just all the puzzle pieces myself. I'm with you on that one.
Yep, agreed. I think that's that we're gonna be in for something else when it actually goes down, when that real test comes, when the moment comes of oh my, and yeah, and maybe all it is if you go back in the white light, you're just coming back into this dream world, and maybe that's not the worst thing. Maybe it's not as bad as we're thinking anyway. We're just really got a lot going on, or you go back to where you were and go, wow, that was pretty cool, but I'm done. I don't need to go back there. But where I am, it's okay. That was just whoa, that was some dream, like an episode of Black Mirror. Maybe we're just in an episode of Black Mirror right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but feels like it sometimes.
Oh, and you know what? We are
Yeah.
we are at an hour. So there was one question that Adam wanted to ask you, rolling back from part one. But go ahead,
Oh,
Adam.
I guess yeah, it actually is relevant to the Monroe Institute. Can you expand a little bit more on just the non-corporeal entities? Just a little bit, just about your experiences, if anything kind of was like lingering
Yeah.
after the session, if you had any, yeah, if there's any like attachment or anything like that.
Yeah. So during that, I would sit and do the guided meditation. I believe it's called the Gateway Voyage process or Gateway Voyage meditation. If you could look it up on YouTube, step by step, we did that, and you just sit what they're saying. You do exactly what they're doing. You sit And the first time I did it, I was having an experience with, beings that were just different colors. So, they were glowing different colors. They looked different. Literally to where I was going somewhere. I wasn't even here. I was not here. I was somewhere else. This should take time to witness, develop to. I turn on that meditation now, and as soon as it starts, not even in deep. Oh my God, I'm there. These things are there. They're right there. And I know the military had some problems with them, or they said they whatever happened. But if you are armed, or you're going with a negative intent, you got to get that in return. Just be really careful. But if you go unarmed or with a peaceful intent, to me and the group I was with that did this for 2 years together, and still to this day, I still do it. We have not had any, me, at least myself, have not had any negative experiences. Nothing that went home with me. Nothing that just showed up unannounced. It was only when requested. So only when I go into that space, boom, these beings, these entities come. These, I like to say, energies. It's more of an energetic type thing. They crystallize, or they take more clearer form over time. At first, it might be fuzzy. It might be, what am I really looking at? But you keep doing this, and over time, it gets very clear. They are, some people say they're interdimensional beings. If that's what it is, they're not negative. I just put it at that. They're not negative. People say they ET, interdimensional. I just say they're the others. They're just always around. They're in an energy form. And when requested, yes, you can communicate with them. They could care less about us as long as we're not destroying everything, because they can't, dissolve what's around. If we're going to dissolve what's around us, they'd probably appear and end it instantly, to make sure that doesn't happen. But when you call out to them, yes, they'll acknowledge, but it's like they got other better things to do, whatever they're doing. But they do, I think they pay attention to the people that seek them. So when you're seeking, you're looking out to them, it's a very interesting dynamic. It's very cool to learn. Well, I'm greater than just this physical shell. That's what they proved to me over these years.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the message that does come by all the time, that we are definitely greater and have more potential than we could ever imagine.
Yeah, and whatever people listening out there, you're gonna hear all sorts of nonsense and things with disclosure. People coming up with third and fourth and fifth hand stories. Enough. If you've seen this face to face, like I've done, like tons of people have done too, come forward, share what you've experienced, okay? Because knowledge is power. When you have to use it, you have to share it. Don't keep that to yourself. There's people out there, by doing this, by sharing this. We have a community. We have people that can talk about this, that can reveal this reality. But people that are coming forward with all these lies and half truths, you're just continuing to muddy these waters. But we're on the cusp. We're at that moment where there's going to be something, whether it's an event, a shift in consciousness, something's going to happen where those who know,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to experience something different. Okay, that's what I say. Something different is going to occur. It's not going to be the end of the world, but it's going to be a change in what we perceive.
Yep. Yep, and that is a constant message that keeps coming around, whether it be from some CIA person or former CIA person, and or anything else. Is that
Coming,
there's some
coming, yeah.
shift in consciousness, and like you said, whether it's an event, whether everyone sees the lights in the sky or whatever it is, there's going to be a shift. But I know one thing is, there will never be, I believe, full disclosure from our government, being the military industrial
Never,
complex. They will never see, because
no,
there's, I believe, so much that has gone on in the last 80 years, and so much that I mean, when I tell people, "Oh, I'm sure there's a moon base, I'm sure there's a Mars base, and I'm sure there's bases all over the Jupiter and Saturn's moons," but let's not talk about that right now. But yeah, there's going to be a shift in reality, in our reality, maybe in the next 10 years, who knows, maybe 5. Would be very, very nice if we're still alive when it happens. That would be
Comes in
very,
waves. It comes in waves, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there will never be a
yeah.
disclosure from the government, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
Never, never. Because I think when people find out in the end, everyone wants to point the finger at these evil aliens. When people finally see that the problem is the evil humans and not the evil aliens,
Yeah.
that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. It's not about them, but they want to point to something else always, right? It's another country. It's this and that. Take personal responsibility, and that will solve all that other nonsense. Just, okay, there's people that aren't doing the right thing. Hold them accountable, man. You got to change. All right? That's what we can do, right?
Yep. 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 Well, we can go on and on. but I know you have to get going. So again, much appreciated. Any final words for you, Adam?
Yes, first off, really thanks for coming on,
Yeah.
sharing
Yeah.
these two sessions here. But really, I think big message is if if you see something, you have that feeling that you just have that sense that it's something that's not, I guess you could say, a normal occurrence or anomalous, even though it's pretty normal, I guess, for a lot of people in the end. But share it. Don't be afraid to share it. And I think it's probably the most difficult thing is just opening up and talking about really the phenomenon, because a lot of people have experiences, but they don't know what to do with them. They don't know how to communicate them. They don't know really how to express it. But the first start is just to talk about it. Don't overthink it. Just let it out and see what comes back. There's a lot of safe communities now, more safe communities now than ever. So
Yeah. And Andrew, anything you'd like to say to anyone out there? Final word?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, we're at a very interesting time and a lot of the things are happening. And, there's a lot of people out there talking all sorts of nonsense, but do your own research, do your own homework, ask around. We have the gift right now of technology and all of this. So once again, utilize it for the good. Don't utilize it for the bad and the nonsense to be part of it. We can change the narrative.
Yes.
We can. It starts in our individual four walls in our own home. That's it. So do that, and then that effect will be better than anything else. Just do that, focus on that, and you'll attract and find the winners and weed out everyone else. And people that are meant to be with you, they'll come up, and you'll just know, hey, got to keep going, got to stay with my crew. And I have less friends now, but they're way tighter than they've ever been. So I'm meeting more people that are saying the same thing. Wow, I got less friends, but the ones I had, wow, we're ready for anything. You know what I mean? So find the others. They'll find you. You find each other. If anyone wants to reach out to me, it's my website, thepsychicfirefighter.com. I'm on every social media platform pretty much. And feel free to reach out. And yeah, man, I wish anyone and everyone all the best coming into the new year.
I'd like to thank everybody for watching again, and have a great day. Thank you.